Hey everyone, welcome back to Brown Coat Nerd. Today I'm kind of doing a new little mini series called Should You Buy? This is the first one I am filming. I'm not sure if it's the first one I'll end up making public or if I'll even end up doing that. But basically, this is just going to be me going over one specific gun per video and whether or not I personally think it's worth the money or you should buy it. You know, is it a good investment? Is it fun to shoot? Yeah, so the first one that we're going to do here is the gun that we have in front of us, and this is a Yugoslavian Zastava M88A. This is essentially just a 9mm Tokarev, but with a shorter slide. Now the grip length on this is the same length as your traditional Tokarev. The Yugoslavian Tokarevs famously do have a longer grip because their magazines hold one additional round. But the slide on this one is slightly shorter than your traditional Tokarev, and of course the Yugoslavian Tokarevs do have the same length of slide as your traditional Tokarev, so you can see there the difference. So this one is chambered in 9mm rather than 7.62 by 25 Tokarev. It is still a single stack magazine. It does hold 8+1 rounds of ammo, so once again comparable to your traditional Tokarev. And it's a single action only. And it breaks down just like a Tokarev. So if you know how to break down a Tokarev, you would have no problem breaking this down. The little hammer pack comes out as one complete piece and all of that. So this particular one was made in 1990. I bought this back in 2018 from Classic Firearms, and it did run me $250. Now, at the time that I purchased this in 2018, you could actually buy one of these brand new from Zastava. It was a different importer. They may have had multiple importers. Zastava USA was not yet a thing. But you could get one brand new for... I wrote down the price somewhere. Well, it was right around $200, give or take a little. So I was kind of a little bit torn on this. Like, should I spend the extra money, extra $50 on getting a surplus one? But it is worth mentioning that there are a few differences between the ones that were made for the commercial market and these surplus ones. From what I've seen, I've not handled the commercial one, but the commercial ones look like they have a slightly different finish. I'm not sure if it's a painted finish, but it looks a little bit darker. And this is kind of more of your classic kind of dark gray / blue bluing. So I do like that. Also, all of the commercial ones will come with a polymer grip rather than a wood grip like this one here. However, some of the surplus ones will come with polymer grips. So just some of the surplus ones have the wood grip. And that's really what drew me to this gun, really wanted to get it. And then, of course, you'll have differences in the roll marks. I don't believe they made them for the commercial market until Yugoslavia was no more. You can see right here, Yugoslavia. So I believe all of the commercial ones will say made in Serbia rather than Yugoslavia. So some of the roll marks might be different. Also, the safety is slightly different. I mean, it's not a big deal. I do prefer the look of this one where you have the little red indicator for when the safety is off. Put the safety on, it simply covers up that indicator. The commercial ones will have a F etched into the frame up here, and then this little section of the grip doesn't come all the way up on the polymer grips, so this is exposed frame, and I'll have a little S etched in to the frame down here to indicate which way it is. Like I said, it's just purely a cosmetic thing, but I do prefer the red dot over the S and F. So yeah, there's that. So just so you know, there's kind of two different models of these that you can come across. And as far as I know, Zastava USA has not imported any of these. I'm not really sure why. This is a fun little gun. You will find some of them also chambered in .40 Smith & Wesson. I personally have not come across any of them. I've seen them online, so I do know they're out there, but I do not think they are very common at all. Also, while we're on magazines, I know when I reviewed this video, magazines were very hard to come by, and I think I found one person on eBay selling it for like $60 or $80, for a used magazine. Out of curiosity, last night I did hop online to see if getting these mags were any easier. And while Zastava USA does not import the gun, they are offering brand new mags for $25. I knew I wrote that down somewhere. And those mags do look like they come with this little pinky rest as well. So good news if you have one of these. Mag prices have gone down. You can get a brand new one from Zastava USA for a decent price. Let's see. Holds 8+1 rounds, just like your traditional Tokarev. Of course, this is 9mm and not 7.62 by 25. It's still a single action only and a single stack mag. So just real quick to go over this gun, some of the basics. You have your traditional Tokarev style sights. So really nothing special there. They're not horrible, but not great. What's that, Chernobyl miniseries quote there? Now the grip on these, it does look like it might be not necessarily uncomfortable, but not the most comfortable. But I do have to say, and this really goes for any Tokarev, they are actually more comfortable than they look. I mean, they're not great, but it's more pleasing to hold than you might think. Now, of course, this does have the safety on here. This is a factory installed safety. This is not one of those ugly import safeties. And you can put the safety on with the hammer back or with the hammer down. And as you notice, if you put the safety on with the hammer down, it does pull that hammer back off of the firing pin just a little bit, making it a little bit safer. And we also do have little two protective ears on either side of the firing pin. And when we take the safety off, those go down. So if the hammer should fall with the safety on, it's going to hit those two little ears rather than the firing pin. So Zastava definitely tried to make this gun a little bit more safe, a little bit more up with the times. Now this does have a magazine safety on it, which I personally do not prefer. I do not like them. Some people do for some reason. But these do have a magazine disconnect safety like most Yugoslavian Tokarevs. Your traditional Tokarevs would not. Now, in my first review video of this, I'd only found one video, and the guy essentially just breaks it off. Since then, I have come across another video. I don't know if his was just stuck in there, and that was what, the reason he had to break it off. But you can actually move these magazine disconnect safeties without breaking them. So, if there's historical reasons or whatever, if you don't want to change it up, that's something that you could reverse if you chose to. I know a lot of people like to get rid of those, mainly because if you've got one, magazines don't like to drop free. Now, I haven't taken this one out, so I'm not sure if that would fix that. I feel pretty confident that it would, though. So just know it will come with a magazine disconnect safety, but is easily removable. The accuracy on this particular one for me, once again, not to quote Chernobyl, it wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible at the same time. I would definitely say this is a decent shooter. If I'm trying to impress anyone, this isn't going to be the first gun I go for. But it's definitely not going to leave you out there embarrassed. Also to point out on these sights, being a Yugoslavian Tokarev, the Yugoslavian ones do have adjustable front sights, where your traditional Tokarevs do not. And then you also have slide serrations on just the first portion of the slide, so it kind of help cut down on glare. Once again, kind of trying to bring this gun a little bit more, the old Tokarev design, make it a little bit more modern. I will say most of my guns I do not experience hammer bite. I have fairly small hands. For whatever reason, this gun has given me some hammer bite in the past, which kind of surprised me because I've got a couple Tokarevs and none of those did that. And I also took this out once with a buddy of mine, and I believe he got a little bit of hammer bite from this guy as well. But that's not a huge deal, and I have seen some people where they kind of file down on the hammer if you really wanted, to take care of that. So, looking over my notes, the trigger pull on it, it's 4 pounds, 8 ounces. That was my average over 5 trigger pulls. So once again, I mean, it's not bad, especially for a military surplus gun. The trigger is decent. If this is something that you would want to conceal, I mean, it is a single stack Tokarev. They're not terribly flat. Keep in mind, it is all steel. So it does have some heft to it. You're probably not going to find a specific holster for the M88A. If you should find like a Kydex holster for a Tokarev, I imagine this would fit in there just fine. Just keep in mind you are going to have a little bit of extra space in that holster that you're not using up, since this has the shorter slide. Also, a few times I have carried this gun, and I actually had just an extra, what was it, a Black Hawk 1911 government holster, and the profile of this gun is so close to the 1911. It did work. It wasn't as snug as I would have liked it, but it did work. And once again, like I said, you had a little bit of extra space up front. And that's something, if you planning on carrying it regularly, you could modify that holster to make it a little bit more convenient for you to use. Looked around for the prices that these are going for right now. Like I said, I purchased this back in 2018 for $250. And that was a little bit more than what I could have purchased a brand new one for. Now, I haven't seen the brand new ones on the market in a couple of years. I don't know if Zastava is ever going to plan on bringing those in. But the used price on these kind of surprised me a little bit. I mean, I knew it would go up a little bit, especially for these military surplus ones. I kind of really only saw one batch of these come in back when I purchased this, and I haven't really seen these pop up anymore since then. Like maybe once or twice. I think Mosin Crate may have gotten a few of these. I'm not sure. But right now, the going price for a used M88A, and that's really not differentiating from a commercial version or a military surplus version like this, but their going price is $325 to $350 right now, and those are all for used ones. Now, I would assume if you're looking for one of the military surplus ones, to me, I feel like that credits it to a little bit of a markup. Nothing crazy. So just keep that in mind. Once again, if Zastava USA does start importing these, I don't think we'll see them as cheap as what they were before. Because I saw these around for years before I purchased this one too for that price. It seemed like places just could not get rid of them. And I honestly think people were just a little bit wary because of how low that price was. So if we did see Zastava USA start selling these for the commercial market again, I would purely guesstimate that they're probably going to be around $300 to $350 on the price tag for that. But who knows if they're going to do that. So all in all, it is a fun gun to shoot. There's really no major complaints that I have on this gun. It's worked very well for me. The front sight did come a little bit loose. I don't think I fixed it yet. Yeah, no, I haven't. So it is a very fun gun. If you kind of have a small Yugoslavian collection like I do, if you got, one of the Yugo SKSs or an AK, I feel like this would be a pretty good little companion for that rifle if you wanted to get that. Or if you also have a Tokarev collection, this is a pretty cool little addition to that. It's kind of a short slide Tokarev. Also, it's chambered in 9mm. Now, you will see full-size Tokarevs. I know Yugoslavia made a bunch of the full-size ones in 9mm, but they also made this small little guy here. So, if you come across one of these and you've got $300 to $350 to spend and you're trying to decide if you should get this, I think you could spend your money on this and you would not be disappointed. I think you'd be happy with the purchase, especially if you got one of these surplus ones with these wood grips. It just has a very kind of 1903 classic, 1911 look to it. Plus, it's just kind of a little Tokarev. I think you'd be happy with it. Now, if you're just simply looking for a slim gun that's a fun shooter, you might possibly carry now and then. You want something with a good trigger, and possibly you want a little bit of, military or police, history with it, and you have that much money, if you have a choice, and if you guys watch my video, you know where this is going. I still would actually recommend the Spanish Star BM over the M88A. The M88A with the wood grips looks a little bit better, but this guy, you still got the 8+1 9mm single stack, single action only. I did not write down what the trigger pull weight on this guy was. I haven't done that lately. The trigger pull weight on this is either going to be the same as the M88A or it's going to be a little bit lighter. This has a very clean filling trigger to it. And as far as accuracy, this is more accurate for me and for several friends of mine than the M88A. You still have the disadvantages of it being all steel, so if you're trying to conceal and carry it, it is going to have a little bit of extra weight. Once again, you got a safety you can put on with the hammer down. Safety you can put on. It's a little oily with the hammer back. So, M88A, it's not a bad purchase, but if you're simply trying to get something for, you know, just to shoot or home defense, the Star is still, in my opinion, a better option. So there's my final outlook on should you buy an M88A. I do think there's better options for you, even if you're sticking with surplus. But at the same time, if you've got several Tokarevs, I mean, this definitely has a spot in that collection. If you got a bunch of Yugoslavian stuff, once again, this definitely has a spot in that collection. So nothing to be ignored, but at the same time, you've got better options. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe some of you found it useful. If you did, please like, and if you feel really crazy, go ahead and click that subscribe button. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Stay safe and stay shiny.